Hey, Impact Wrestling President Scott D'Amore here, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
I can't believe we're doing this here. We have got the hat trick, my friends. I've told you before, my three favorite broadcasters, my three favorite wrestling journalists. We already got Bill Apter. We already got Vic Venom. Now we got the current GOAT. We are about to get some insight into the world of interviewing right now. Can Vliet, thank you so much for doing this, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for wanting to talk to me. No, how am I on that list? That's crazy.
100% on your list, because look what you're doing, man. Like you, and this goes right into my first question. You got to talk to me how a guy from our area, a guy from Pickering, for Christ's sake, how do you go from working at Rogers to having 100 million subscribers on YouTube? Tell me about your work ethic, your grind. How did you get there?
I think for me, I've just been passionate about broadcasting, and I'm interested in meeting interesting people. And that's at the core of exactly what we're doing right now. That's at the core of every conversation that we have. So for me, it was just like, how could I try to maybe, possibly, hopefully, find a way to do this for a living one day? And I kind of just chased after it, and one small thing led to another. It was like volunteering at 91.5 The Beat in Kitchener, volunteering at Rogers Community 20 in Kitchener. Then 570 News in Waterloo said, we don't take on volunteers. How would you like a job? And I was like, hold on, you're going to pay me to do things on the radio? It's just come from like, I love doing this, and I'm so fortunate that I still get to do it.
Speaking of the grind, I can't believe you're doing this right now. I would expect you to be resting right now because you have a big weekend next week. What are your plans next weekend? What does your WrestleMania week look like?
WrestleMania week is so packed, and there's so many different shows, so many different events going on.
That's it. Wow. Look at this, and a run-in from the X Division champion.
Wow!
You saw it here, guys.
Thank you. I'm fueled on C4 energy. Woo! So me and you for the X Division title.
Yes.
Okay, you heard it.
I heard it right here.
It's such a busy week, and it's funny. I'm going to put this away right now. It's funny because WrestleMania week is simultaneously the best weekend to try to get content because everybody's in town, and it's also the worst week because everybody's in town doing something. Yeah. So you're trying to just get a sliver of somebody's time.
Right.
So I'm going to be going to SmackDown, WrestleMania, a lot of the indie shows. I'm going to be part of Sam Roberts, not Sam-O-Mania at the Comedy Store, the iconic Comedy Store. So, and the other cool thing is stuff just pops up, right? Someone will be like, hey, what are you doing in an hour? Do you want to do this thing? You're like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
So just going to kind of fly by the seat of my pants and see what happens.
100%. I hope WrestleMania comes back to Toronto one of these days.
It has to.
So that we can do that because I'm not going to LA this weekend. I'll tell you that. I'm not Can Vliet. I'm not going to LA. But when they come back to Toronto.
What do you got against LA?
My bank account doesn't like LA.
My bank account doesn't like living in LA, okay? Jeez.
So walk me through this process. Now you got a lot of huge interviews behind you. Big interviews. Not just in the wrestling world, in the movie star world, in the wrestling world. What's your research process like, especially when you're going against someone like The Undertaker? How do you research? How do you prepare for somebody like that?
With The Undertaker in particular, he's done a lot of interviews recently. I was trying to do something to get something out of him that he hadn't answered before.
That's hard, yeah.
So I listened to a lot of the recent interviews. He had a great interview with Ariel Helwani, who's so good at getting amazing content from people. I listen to a lot of interviews. I'll also look at I type their name into Google. Here's a little tip. I type their name into Google, and I'll see what news stories are coming up. And sometimes it's like speculation about this person or rumors about this person. I'm like, oh, that could be a good thing. Maybe they could clear the rumor up here.
Yeah.
Or I'll type their name into YouTube, and I'll see like the suggested results, like this, like The Undertaker, and then you see the other auto suggestions. I'm like,
right.
Ooh, if a bunch of people are asking about that, or asking Google about that, or YouTube about that, I should ask about that. So it kind of starts with that, and also just getting a timeline of their career.
Okay.
What did they do 30 years ago? What did they do 25 years ago? What were the pivotal moments? And then just trying to ask questions either they haven't been asked before or ask it in a different way that they haven't been asked.
Right. From a personal standpoint, how cool was that? The Undertaker, man. I mean, I know you've been a fan your whole life.
Pretty cool.
Right?
That was pretty cool.
Well, what was that like? Do you get nervous anymore? Like, does that still happen for you? Were you nervous going into something like that?
I have a nervous moment before a big interview like The Undertaker or The Rock or recently with George Clooney and Julia Roberts, where it's not like, oh my God, I'm meeting so-and-so. It's, I only have with The Undertaker 20 minutes. I'm just nervous. Can I get everything I want to get in those 20 minutes? And, you know, is the technology going to work okay? That's more of what I'm nervous about. At the end of the day, these are just supremely talented people that chased after their dream. But they're just people, right?
Right.
And so I'm remembering when I'm going into these situations that they're just a person who chased after this dream. I'm a person attempting to do the same myself.
Absolutely.
Sure, I haven't accomplished half of what these people have accomplished, not even 1/3 of it, or one tenth of it. But it's cool to be able to go, man, they're just another person, so you got to talk to them like they're a person.
100%. And that's what we try to do. Speaking of chasing your dream, we as of last week, we've been doing this for 3 years now. We just hit our anniversary.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Big news for us. But in those 3 years, you know, we've only been doing interviews for about 2 of those years. We already have a couple that we're like, we wish we could get a do-over. Do you have any of those? Do you have any, like, one interview you're like, I wish I could do that again?
Yeah, like, I've got a lot where I want to do them again because that person's just awesome and, like, they've got this infectious energy that just, like, oozes out of them.
Yeah.
And then there's some where I'm like, maybe it just wasn't our best day. You know, maybe I didn't, bring my best to the table and maybe they didn't bring their best to the table. But I'll tell you one thing, I definitely do not want another interview with MJF.
I don't think I want a first interview with MJF.
He's the worst. So people ask me about that all the time. When's your next interview with MJF? Never.
No.
F that guy.
I don't blame you at all. MJF, come on the show.
You don't want that.
No. So, from somebody like us to you, we have to ask, and to anybody listening to the show that wants to do this, what's the one biggest piece of advice you would give to somebody who wants to go in the footsteps of Chris Can Vliet? Someone who wants to get as big as you have been or continue to get bigger as you're doing?
I got 2 words for you. It's not just suck it, no. It's not suck it. Just start. You just got to start. Like, the barrier of entry right now is so low to shoot content and put it on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. The barrier of entry is so low to start a podcast, like literally just hit record. And I think a lot of people get too caught up in the idea of like, well, I'm going to put it out and nobody's going to listen. Or I'm going to put it out and I'm not going to get the guests that I want to get. Or just start. I think you just got to start, and then it needs to become part of something that you always do. Every Tuesday I'm going to put out an episode. Every Wednesday I'm going to do an interview, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
Start with it and be consistent. And then find your own path. Be inspired by people who you look up to.
Absolutely.
But then take little bits from each one of them and combine it together and find your own path.
I feel we've done that, yeah.
You got your own shirt. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Look
Exactly.
at this thing.
Right? Thank you to Jaybird Digital Arts who made that. Always plugging up, Jay.
You got to grow the beard back.
I do.
Yeah.
My wife likes this, but I like that.
Well,
it's
then
the
you're going to stay
brand.
with that, is what I've learned.
There you go. Thank you so much for your time. I'll finish it off with something that Tyler always likes to do, and that's asking you, what is one thing you look back at your career right now, be it an interview or a moment, anything you've done, where you just sit back and you think about it and it makes you smile?
That's such a great question. And I think for me, it's just, and I've been starting to do this more frequently, is appreciating the moments as they're happening.
Yeah.
Because you can never get a moment back ever again.
Exactly.
I think the first time I stepped onto the red carpet at the Oscars was a really cool moment. Like, I got to cover the red carpet of the Oscars, and like the carpet is a certain color of red, and like the Oscars are right there. That was a cool moment where I was like, oh man, I moved from Canada to the US, and now here I am at the Oscars covering this. And that was pretty awesome.
Very cool. And very last question, because everybody I talk to says you have to ask Chris Can Vliet, We know he's your favorite wrestler. What was it like meeting The Rock?
It doesn't matter what it was like meeting The Rock.
I love that so much. Do you have any cool Rock stories for us?
Yes. Sorry about that.
No, I wouldn't have it any other way.
So The Rock's awesome. They always say you shouldn't meet your heroes, but if The Rock is your hero, do whatever you can to try to meet Dwayne Johnson. And this story is the epitome of who The Rock is. So I did this interview with him for Black Adam recently. Okay. And I hadn't done an interview with him in like 4 years. And I happened to be in the hotel the night before, just in the lobby with one of my friends. And The Rock was there. The Rock was finishing up some other interviews.
Yeah.
And my buddy goes, hang here for a second. Like, if we stand here, The Rock's security guards are over there, so I bet we'll see The Rock walk by. I'm like, oh, cool, of course. Sure enough, a few minutes later, The Rock walks by. He sees us. And I thought he'd maybe go, hey, what's up? He walks over and goes, Jake, Chris, how you guys been?
That's amazing.
Chris, you still living in Miami? And I was like, what? Like, number one, he did not need to acknowledge me.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Number two, he didn't need to even come up and say hi. But number three, to give me a handshake and a hug and make some conversation really shows who that guy is. He remembered me, remembered my name. Like, he's the best. And he's in the position that he's in for a reason.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that story. Thank you so much for this time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not screwing around when I say he is the modern day GOAT. I finally finished the trilogy. Thank you so much here, man.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate
it. On behalf of Chris Van Vliet, you have been counted out.
Well, we are live, pals, live and on location in Windsor, Ontario. Beautiful. Now, we're in Windsor, Ontario. My name is Tyler. I'm joined, as always, by Mojito Mike. Welcome to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. The Bill After Seal of Approved, Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. We're on a road trip, man. First road trip together.
Yeah, we've never done this before. This is, man, it was only like 2 years ago that we're like, we've never gone to a wrestling show together. Then we've done a bunch of wrestling shows together. Then we traveled to a wrestling show together. I think now the only thing we haven't done together is go to a WWE show.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that will happen.
Maybe.
Ontario's on fire right now with wrestling. Got Forbidden Door. We got SummerSlam in our neighboring country, Detroit, which is, 4-hour drive for us, as we found out today, because we're right beside Detroit.
As Chris Sabin said last night. Did you see his thing at the end?
Yeah,
that was great. Can I tell you something? A side note on that?
Yeah.
For 20 years, I never knew why he did that.
Yeah, I neither did I.
I never knew why Chris Sabin always did that. And apparently he was pointing, if his hand was the United States, he points to Detroit. And I never knew that. So last night he says, we're not doing this tonight, we're doing this, pointing to Windsor, which is right across the bridge, as he would say. Very cool stuff. I never knew that. That's really cool.
And you said last night. Well, what did we do last night? As we're recording this, it would have been Friday night. We were at Impact Wrestling's Sacrifice pay-per-view event.
Somebody scribbled on that.
Yeah, what?
Scott
D'Amore?
Scott D'Amore.
As you heard at the top of the show, we got to run into Impact Wrestling president Scott D'Amore. I had a small conversation with him, which was really, really cool.
Scott D'Amore, who made his on-screen return last night, and I'm going to say one of the moments of the night, not just for myself, but for the crowd. It was one of the hottest moments for the crowd last night when Scotty came out for the save on Darren McCarty.
Yeah.
Detroit Red Wings legend Darren McCarty, who got in the face of Bully Ray last night. And Scotty came out for the save. And Scotty hit a fucking Canadian destroyer. And can I tell you, it's not the worst destroyer I ever saw. It looked good. It was great.
Yeah. It looked good. I don't want to run down all of Sacrifice. It was a fantastic show, but let's kind of just talk about our trip a little bit.
It could have been a horrible show, and I would have had a great time.
Yeah.
Hooked back up with the Wrestlemania boys. You got to meet the Wrestlemania boys for the first time.
Yeah.
We did dinner before the show. We got some drinks on us. We went to the show. It just so happened the show was really fucking good. Surprise, surprise. Impact has not put on a bad pay-per-view yet this year.
Yeah.
But
it was the atmosphere for me, not just us and our buddies. That crowd was great.
Yeah,
last
great
night.
crowd. Packed
Yeah.
house at the
Packed
St.
house.
Clair College
Yeah.
there, which was great. We got the announcement that Slammiversary will also
Oh
be
my God.
back in Windsor at St. Clair College, which is cool.
So count them down, man. You were starting right here last night. Sacrifice in Windsor. Tonight we're doing Sacrifice Fallout. In just a few weeks, you got Rebellion right here in Toronto, in our backyard, Toronto. Then you jump over the very next month to what is it? Under Siege in London.
Yeah.
And then just a few months later, they're coming back here to Windsor for Slammiversary, arguably their second biggest show of the year.
Yeah, and then you throw in AEW doing shows in Hamilton and Forbidden Door in Toronto. And then, your big promotions, the Ontario scene like Destiny Wrestling and Barrie Wrestling and Lucha Demand. They're all doing shows, which is great. So we're getting spoiled over here with wrestling. It's fantastic stuff. And for me, I want to say one of my personal highlights was got to see a lot of the local Ontario boys showing face with Impact Wrestling. We ran into Corey Stone, who thankfully didn't push me into a wall last night. Had a chat with Johnny DeLuca, with Aiden Prince, and probably my favorite conversation of the whole night was with our boy Reverso,
who made his return as El Reverso. We haven't seen him with the mask in a long time, but he did a dark match with Impact last night.
He looked great
against Ontario's own Sheldon John, who we've seen on our in Destiny and around our area.
Yeah,
great match. Reverso picked up the win.
Yeah, he looked great. He was super over with the crowd.
100%.
Well,
he is a Windsor boy.
Yeah.
Like they know, and little backstage stuff. He had a choice to make. It's like, do I do my gimmick I'm doing now, or he was given some advice by a very, very advisable person to say, hey, listen, like the Windsor crowd doesn't, the Impact crowd doesn't know your new character. So he came out as El Reverso with the mask on, and man, that crowd was hot for him.
Yeah, it was great, and he's an even better person than he is a worker, and he's a hell of a worker. So.
I love Dan. I've only been fortunate enough to meet the guy a couple, like this was the third time last night. You've met him several times now. We've met a lot of really nice people. A lot of really nice people. There's nobody on the indie scene that I'm like, oh fuck, we have to see this guy. There's nobody like that. But there are some people that I'm like, I can't wait to see that guy. Reverso's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because even though I've only known the guy I've met the guy 3 times, I've had maybe a collective of 15 minutes worth of conversation with the man. But he makes me feel like we've known each other for 25 years.
Yeah, it's a super nice guy.
You see him, he does the same thing that McCray Martin does.
Yeah.
Where he comes up and he acts like he's your best fucking friend. And not because that's just who he's not playing you. He's not, oh, I gotta go do the thing for for those fucking podcast boys. That's who he is.
He's a nice guy.
He's just a fucking nice guy.
Something else I want to touch on really quick. Huge congratulations to the wild child Jody Threat, signed with Impact Wrestling. She'll be debuting shortly. Who knows? Maybe we'll see her as we're recording this. We're going to the TV tapings tonight. Maybe she'll be there. I would love that.
Very possible.
Who knows? We don't know that, but it was a great time.
No, we didn't get to talk about this because it happened since we've been on air last. Let's really quickly touch on this. We were getting ready to go to the show yesterday morning. We're packing up the car, and the news hits. Josh Alexander has had injured his tricep. He's going in for emergency surgery right away.
Yeah, which he had
I believe in Tampa, Florida, and that was it. No more longest reigning champion in Impact history. He had to relinquish the title immediately, and Josh was not at the show last night. Mm-hmm. So Steve Macklin took his place in the 6-man tag, and the new main event at Rebellion will be Kushida versus Steve Macklin for the world title. This changes a lot of things, and I think a lot of fans, including myself, are disappointed because we're such big Josh fans.
Yeah.
But you know what? This really shows the Impact. They take it in stride and say, okay, now we got to move on. This is like, no, this company is always bigger than one person. It's bigger than the title. It's bigger than the character. they got to keep moving every time. This happened in the morning, and it was already fixed within hours.
Mhm.
You know, our biggest condolences to Josh. But the show goes on, and they did a great job of moving the show forward.
Absolutely.
Another injury was to Mickie James, who injured her ribs.
Yeah.
She did not end up fighting Jordan Grace last night. She is hoping to face Jordan Grace and somebody else. I just can't fucking remember. In a three-way.
So it's going to be the winner of the multiverse 4-way match. So it's Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw, Masha Samovich, and I can't remember who the New Japan talent is in that match.
Okay, so the winner of that plus Jordan plus Mickie at Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
If Mickie is not cleared to wrestle by Rebellion, it'll be a 1-on-1, and you're going to get a new champion.
Yes.
Okay, so other than that, any other highlights? I have one big highlight I'm going to throw out, but any other highlights for Sacrifice last night?
We got to meet Ross Foreman, which was really nice. I had a nice conversation with Speedball Mike Bailey. I got to meet Tom Hannafin, and we talked to Hannafin. Sorry,
every time.
Tom Hannafin, who's a former guest of the show, and it's nice. It's nice though, like that we're making these connections with people, but it's like people are starting to remember who we are. Like that feels nice. I feel like we're doing a good job.
You got a really nice picture with the ghost of Kushida.
Yes, the lighting fucked me on that one. I got my picture taken with David Penzer, who's a former guest of the show. Yeah. And I'm excited because tomorrow on the way home, we're going to stop into the Awesome Toy Show. And hopefully we're going to have a conversation with Chris Van Vliet. He said he's down for it. It's just a matter of if we can get our timing down for it.
Now, we've known about this for months. I wasn't going to spoil this on the show at all. Ever. I've been holding this off.
Should I just edit that out?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Chris Van Vliet. Yeah.
We're hopeful.
But yeah.
I think we mentioned that before.
No, we didn't. I even said last week that this was the big one after Devon. But anyways, yeah, we're going to be talking to Chris Van Vliet tomorrow, and I'm really excited about that. But we got to get through. We got to get through a couple things. First, we got to get through Sacrifice, and we got to get through our second in a row WrestleMania list.
Yeah,
on Count It Out.
Yeah, and I just got through my drink, and you're sitting beside the fridge, so maybe you could pass me a little peachy on there.
Oh, peachy?
Yeah, a peachy iced tea or a peachy.
You talk while I you talk while I look for it. So many drinks.
Right here, corner pocket. I'm going to take the iced tea. Yeah, thank you. I'm on an iced tea kick today. I'm getting hammered for the show. It's going to be great.
So Tyler twisted my arm. I'm going to be honest with you because I'm just not in WrestleMania mode yet. I'm not. I'm in Impact mode, and I'm in GCW mode. I'm in Indie mode. I'm not in WrestleMania mode yet. It just hasn't hit me this year. So I was coming up with lists for the show, and Tyler says, fuck you, you have to do a WrestleMania list.
Put my foot down.
You don't do that often. I said, no, I'm not going to do one. And you go, no, you're going to do it. Like we always do WrestleMania lists, at least one each.
Mm-hmm.
I did mine last week. You're doing one this week.
Correct.
I can do it.
Yeah.
So I tried to pawn it off on my buddy Matt,
which
might still happen, but we can't count on that. So he said, so I put together a WrestleMania list so that we're going to be doing the top 7 best, in my opinion, gimmick matches to happen at WrestleMania.
Yes.
So any matches that didn't abide by your standard rules apply.
I have not done any research on this, and I'm just going to wing it with you, man.
This is all. This is Counted Out, the greatest podcast you're not listening to.
That's going to be on his shirt. I still think we should get hats.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Well, you'll be the only one. All right. Let's get into WrestleMania.
Anything else you want to go straight into a list?
No, I want to talk about WrestleMania. Rey Mysterio and Dominic is official.
It finally happened. Ray finally put his hands on Dominic last night on SmackDown, and I'm glad they held off. I am glad. I'm not usually big on the whole sign a match the week before WrestleMania, but this match is different.
Yeah,
I liked that Ray held off forever and ever. It's shades of Owen and Brett.
Yep.
Where Owen didn't want to face his brother. It's shades of Taker and Kane, when Taker did not want to face his brother.
Yep.
You always know it's going to end up there, especially when it's WrestleMania season. But I like that it took that long for them to come to blows. I really liked it. And fuck everybody who's on the Dominic hate train.
Yeah.
I'm loving Dominic, and last night proved why I love him so much. He played off that so well. You know what he looked like? He was a spoiled, rotten, little scared child.
Yeah.
Sitting on the floor after his dad fucking hit him.
He got
He was a
scolded.
scared
What Jerry say?
child.
Scolded like a government mule.
Yeah.
Love it.
He was a scared child. And that's exactly what they needed for that. He played it perfectly. It's one of the stories that actually does have me interested in WrestleMania.
Yeah. I think everything's building really like this is the best built WrestleMania, I think, in years. I really do. And it's unfortunate you and I have been so busy that we haven't been able to watch the build properly. But I mean, you've got Roman and Cody with a great build. You got the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens with a great build. You got Seth Rollins and Logan Paul with a great build. Ray and Cody with a great build. Like right there alone are 4 huge matches. John Cena and Austin Theory, they announced there's going to open night 1 of WrestleMania. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I didn't know it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big mania, and I'm really pumped up about it. Even Brock Lesnar and Omos has got people interested. Like, this is a fun WrestleMania. I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait to watch it.
There's I was listening to the most recent episode of Insight with Chris Van Vliet, and there was an idea that came up on that show that I'm not against.
What do you got?
It's not going to happen. Would be cool if it did. Picture this. Bobby Lashley comes out, talks about how his opponent couldn't face him. He doesn't have an opponent. It says it starts putting over the Hurt Lock, saying that, you know, it's a good thing Bray can be here because I kill him with the Hurt Lock. And he just talks with the Hurt Lock. He can kill everybody with the Hurt Lock. And then Chris Masters comes out. And we have, I don't know why you hate Chris Masters.
I
so
don't,
much.
but
You
I
do.
just
You do.
I like Chris Masters.
No,
I
you-
just don't think that
Every time I've ever brought up that name, that's your reaction. No,
he's just not over enough for that spot to matter.
he would at WrestleMania.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes, he would. Yes, he
No.
would.
I think he'd get a little pop, but
No. Hurt Lock versus Master Lock, it would go over big time.
I doubt that. The only full Nelson
Very
battle
fun.
I want to see is Hercules Hernandez against Billy Jack Haynes at WrestleMania 3, brother.
I hate you so much sometimes. Speaking of WrestleMania, we did something really weird. We got really fucking drunk last night, and we just randomly put on WrestleMania 7.
That was my call.
It was your call.
I wanted to watch that tag match, the Rockers against Mega
Yeah.
Haku.
And then we ended up watching the whole thing, and then we somehow both passed out during Martel and Roberts.
Yeah.
Strange thing is, this was on the 30-something.
23rd, I think.
No, way more than 23. It's WrestleMania. It's
I
like
don't know.
30.
Are we that old?
Yes. It's like, yeah, he's like 30. Maybe you're just like 32. That makes more sense. Anyways, like the 32nd or some anniversary of WrestleMania 7 was last night. We didn't know that. That's not why we put it on. It just happened to be like that. It was pretty funny. It's 23rd anniversary. What's wrong with you?
We're not that old.
We're very
23.
old.
30. No, yeah, I guess it would be the 30-year anniversary. Fuck, eh? Either way, yeah, that was pretty fun. Great show. Great WrestleMania 7. Very underrated WrestleMania. Speaking of underrated, let's talk about WrestleMania. Let's get to your list. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We got anything else you want to talk about?
No. I was just reading stupid text from Danny Franchise.
Yeah, I read that same
He's
text.
pissing me off.
I don't understand what the hell he's talking about.
I do.
Oh,
He's too lazy to come over here.
classic Danny.
Yeah. And I can say that without worrying about getting any heat because I know that only my good friends listen to my fucking show.
That's a running gag on the weekend.
Oh, it's not a running gag anymore. It's fucking Danny Franchise can suck all 3 of my dicks.
Do you want to know the other running gag of the weekend?
No.
Ray for Mojo.
I love our road trips.
That's
All
it.
right, you want to get on to some gimmick matches?
I do.
Let's do it, man. We're gonna start hot. I think I'm gonna compete right away. Maybe not from you. I think you're a little bit more smarter than some, but I think
That's the first time you ever said that.
I think the listeners are gonna get some heat. I'm starting off hot. My number 7 of the greatest gimmick matches in WrestleMania history goes to WrestleMania 17, and it's the tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Okay. I'm going to have to see what else is on your list before I give my opinion on this.
Yeah.
To me, in my opinion, and we talked about this off air before we started recording, I think And
As does Devon Dudley.
Devon Dudley. It's in the archives that WrestleMania 16 was the better of the two matches.
You may like WrestleMania 17 better as a whole, and I'll agree with you. But the match itself, 16 was better.
16 didn't feel like a spot fest.
Yeah.
The pacing
it flowed better.
The pacing was very good. All the spots got time to breathe. Whereas 17 was like, got to get your run-ins with Rhino, Lita, and Spike. You got to hit your high spots. And it was just like boop, 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 and nothing paced.
Yeah.
So I like 16 better. I don't have a problem with this being your number 7. I'm gonna have to hear what your number 6 and number 5 are before I fully gauge on that. But I don't hate the placement of this.
Well, if you want to talk about 16 have better flow, we can talk about that right now because number 6 is WrestleMania 16.
Okay,
they were back to back.
Yeah,
but I had to pick one to be better, and for me, 7 was 7, 17 was 7, and 16 was 6. I think they are. I don't think 16 is far better than 17.
I do. I really do think it's a lot better.
But I do think it is better in the long run. Anything you want to say about 16, or should we just run past it? Because
what do you think? Let's kind of talk about some of these high spots. What do you think is the biggest high spot between all of those matches? Like, what's the one big moment?
Dude. You should have gave me time to research on this one. Like this is. I didn't watch them. I watched 16 recently. I haven't watched 17 recently. So
well, to me, the two biggest spots are Jeff Hardy at 16 on the top of the ladder.
Yes,
and the Edge spear at 17. What's the more memorable moment?
The Edge spear.
Like the Edge spear?
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, that contradicts my list, but that is the most memorable moment.
You know, it's funny too. That's not the first time that spot happened. Everyone thinks that's the debut of that spot.
Yeah.
After Unforgiven, I believe it was 2000, the Hardys and Edge and Christian fought in a cage match.
Right.
And the Hardys won the belt. And then the very next night on Raw, they just had a ladder match. And that was the first time that spear was ever used.
Speaking of ladder matches, we're going to stay on the ladder match. I think we're talking about ladder matches a bit here.
Yeah, I feel like
WrestleMania. That. Yeah. Moving on to number 5, we're going to WrestleMania 21 for the very first ever Money in the Bank ladder match.
I think this is the best Money in the Bank ladder match.
100%.
Yeah.
I like a lot of them. Well, some of them, but this one, it felt different because it was the first. It was something. Yeah, it was a multi. It's not like it's the first multi-man ladder match we ever saw.
Might have been
Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho did a really good job of making it feel different.
Yeah,
didn't he? Like the build to this.
It's funny that Edge didn't want to do this match at all.
Really? Well, he wanted to get out of that, right? He wanted to, like, I don't want to be known as the ladder match guy. But this ladder match helped him get out of that.
100%.
Without being Mr. Money in the Bank, I don't think the R-rated superstar becomes what it is.
100%. He is one of the best Money in the Bank briefcase holders of all time.
Oh, he's the best.
You think he's the best?
The best.
He might. Him, Dolph, and Seth, I think, are the best 3.
He had the best cash in. He did the best with it.
Dolph had a better cash in.
I liked his cash in better.
No, Dolph. That moment with Dolph is wild.
The pop was amazing.
Yeah,
but
Seth was really good too.
But I liked his cash in better. Memories of this match?
Very good match. Shelton Benjamin started the match.
Shelton Benjamin, he was at this point to Money in the Bank to what Kofi was for a while to the Royal Rumble.
I agree.
The guy that you knew wasn't going to win, but you knew was watched this guy during this match.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Kofi or Shelton was always one to watch in those, and I wish they would throw him back in when they do these matches because he's still with the company, right?
He is still with the company. Yeah, at Rumored Hurt Business reunion.
My number 4 is one of my favorite WrestleMania matches. I love this match. I'll never stop talking about this match, and I know it's near and dear to your heart as well. My number 4 is the first singles match on this list, and we're going a little hardcore here. We're going Mick Foley versus Edge at WrestleMania 22.
Wow, this is a big one. This is hard. There's a lot of.
Have I mentioned a match so far that should be on top of this?
I think this one's better than all the matches you
Okay.
mentioned so
All
far.
right. Good.
I'm going back and forth on a couple in my head. I got to see if I think it's better than.
Okay.
I might put this match over Taker and Triple H Hell in a Cell.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Oh.
I got to think about that.
Wow, you're not gonna like the placement of that.
I got to think about that.
Wow. Okay. I think
Maybe not. I don't know.
My reaction kind of gave away the fact that I really like that match, but
yeah, that's tough for me. I think you might have it in the right spot, though. I think I might just be a homer on this one, that I just really love this match.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that how fired up these guys were going into this
Yes.
match.
Yes.
Edge thought he should have been the main event of WrestleMania this year. I don't disagree with him.
No.
He was probably the best thing in the company at that time.
1000%.
You just talked about Money in the Bank cash in. This was 2 months removed from his Money in the Bank cash in.
Yeah.
And he felt like he should have been the guy instead of having a 1-3 week title run,
Right,
where he was moving the needle.
Agreed.
And that fire spot.
Oh, the fire spot. That's the whole build to this match is about how Mick Foley never had that WrestleMania moment. When the fuck he got out of here.
Big time.
Yeah, and because that spot, 10 years later, well, fuck, almost 20 years later, still gets played over and over and over again.
Big time.
Brings me to number 3. Want to go back to the land of heat? Want to get me some heat? People are gonna give me some heat. I can get in trouble.
I don't know. What do you got?
My number 3. We're going back to the world of ladder matches. We're at WrestleMania 10 for Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon.
Why would you get heat for this?
I think people romanticize this match so much that I have a feeling there's a lot of people who think this should be like a number 1, number 2.
I put out your number 7 in all honesty.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Oh man, it's one of, if not the best ladder match of all time.
I don't know if it is or not.
I do. I still put it up there.
It's a great match.
Yeah.
I like Foley and Edge better. I think that the Money in the Bank that we talked about is better as well. And
I don't think you're gonna like my top 3. Oh.
I really think that the WrestleMania 16 ladder match was better too.
Yeah.
I would put all those above this one.
I obviously don't agree, but
Yeah.
wow, okay.
I think this is great. Now, no, hold on. Before people start shitting their pants on me,
Hey, you're getting the heat off me.
I'll
great.
take the heat.
Yeah.
This is a great match. And I'm not taking away from it. This match is a trend-setting match. It's a pioneer match, and you can't discredit all that.
But it's still a great match. Like it's not like this is not a case of it's got to be talked about because it's the first one. No, it's not the case. And
Vince McMahon was great on commentary here with his "Whoa, look out!" Like the high pitched Vince is in full effect here. But I mean, we talked about earlier. High spot moments. What are the most memorable moments, right? The biggest high spot in this match was Shawn doing a splash off the 3rd rung.
Look at the year it was.
The year was 94, and that was a huge thing. I'm just saying, like, where that match went and then what it evolved to. I think that the other matches kind of surpassed the predecessor here.
I don't think this match needed high spots.
No, it was great.
No ladder match in history, I think, had better psychology.
And I do like when
the only ladder match that had as good psychology, I would say, is probably Benoit Jericho.
Yeah. Chris Jericho, by the way, I think is the best ladder match wrestler of all time. And I'll tell you why. It's because he uses the ladder as part of the match.
Yes.
As a third person.
As it should be.
Not as a fucking set up spot.
Yeah.
He uses it as a weapon. And I really like the psychology that Chris Jericho brings to ladder matches. He's had a lot of really good ladder matches.
Just a side trail. Everybody knows that it's one of my biggest pet peeves, unless it's in a comedy match. I don't give a fuck if it's a comedy match, but it's one of my biggest pet peeves to have the referee hold the ladder. I get it. Everybody yells at me for it, but it bothers me. The ref shouldn't be assisting the wrestlers. That's my thing. Whatever, leave me alone. Last night at a Sacrifice, they did a great spot where Bully Ray pulled out a step stool. It was a step ladder, had like 2 steps on it, and he would do a splash off it, and he got the referee to hold it down. I thought that was so fucking fun.
I like that he threw up the Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, so he put up the Jimmy Snuka,
which was great, and that's a great throwback because both him and Tommy Dreamer were in the crowd for that Snuka moment.
That's right.
So I thought that was probably a fun moment.
So was Foley, right?
Foley was there as well.
Yeah. I thought that was really funny. All right, my number two. I know you're not gonna like the placement list, but it is what it is. I'm going WrestleMania 28 is the Hell in the Cell between Taker and Triple H.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it as much as you think I would. This is a great match. This psychology is phenomenal. It has the greatest near fall in wrestling history, as far as I'm concerned. Sean was great. Hunter was great.
This, other than 25, is this Taker's best match at WrestleMania?
25, 26. Taker's best streak was here. No, I liked his match with Batista better.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
You have to talk about his match with Batista.
Match with Randy Orton was really good as well.
Yeah.
Taker's best matches at Mania came at the end of his run.
Yes.
Was like from WrestleMania 21.
By the time they even started talking about the streak, it was like, I don't know why people cared about the streak, because his matches were kind of garbage until then.
21 to 27, 28 were like,
Yeah.
they were the peak.
100%.
Even 29 was great with Punk.
Yeah, it was all right. It
Good match.
wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
I really like this match. I love the psychology of it. I love the build up to it. It's one of the last great Hell in a Cell matches. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because in this era, it was all, we were already in the era of Hell in a Cell is a monthly pay-per-view, and this is when we have Hell in a Cell, and Hell in a Cell doesn't mean fuck all, because it's just going to, Hell in a Cell should happen when you need it. You needed it.
Yeah.
This is at WrestleMania. You have two guys. This was their ultimate blow off. This is the third time they're wrestling at a WrestleMania, even though they ignored that fact during the whole build-up, which is stupid. But this was like, they needed something special.
Yeah.
So what do? You give him a cage, you give him Shawn Michaels, you give him, Shawn Michaels, who was in the first Hell in a Cell with the Undertaker. So it all comes full circle. One of the greatest moments in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, and I like that we're getting that this year with Edge and Finn Balor.
Yeah, that's right.
Is
it official as Hell in a Cell?
Yep.
I haven't been watching, so I haven't seen.
The demon against Edge Brood.
Brood Edge?
Yeah.
Love it.
It's cool.
I hope Gangrel comes out.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Number one's got to be obvious, right? Gimmick Battle Royal.
It's the Gimmick Battle Royal. Exactly.
King Kong Bundy and Hillbilly Jim with the midgets.
Anybody who knows me knows what number one is. I mean, it's my number one.
Wrestling.
It's
what number one.
It's my number one in every category ever when we're talking about WrestleMania.
One of the greatest matches of all time.
It is my favorite WrestleMania match, and it's probably my favorite wrestling match. Of course, we're going to WrestleMania 13. It's Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What more do you need to say about it?
I will take every chance I can to talk about this match, because they took a gimmick that Steve Austin didn't feel comfortable with and made him comfortable. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm not a submission wrestler. I can't do this. And they made it into a violent spectacle, which they took the best of Austin's world. They took the best of Hart's world, and they mashed it up. And of course, you have the rest. You have the story being told, which let's call a spade a spade. Bret Hart is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, storytellers when it comes to in-ring actions.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's not the best when it comes to promos, not the best when it comes to actual storylines. But when it comes to telling a story without talking, telling a story through your actions, nobody does it better than Bret. And this is one of the greatest stories ever told, because 30 years later, we're still talking about this fucking match and that switch.
Yeah.
How in one match, Austin went from being the biggest heel to the biggest babyface. Bret Hart went from being the biggest hero in the world to the biggest villain in the world in one match. They swapped places. And 30 years later, we still talk about that.
I'm not even going to say anything about it. If you haven't watched this match,
well,
don't fucking go watch it.
Yeah. I don't understand what you're doing watching wrestling if you've never seen this match.
It's one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. Top three.
A lot of great matches.
It's in my top three.
A lot of great matches in 1997. Anthony.
We're getting good at this podcast.
Right. All right. What else you got, bud?
I got nothing.
No.
We're
getting blown up. We're going to try to do another show.
Maybe.
We're getting a lot of people on the horn that want to be on. We're popular, man.
We're getting ready. We're getting ready to go meet up with the boys. We're getting ready to go for night 2 of Impact Wrestling Sacrifice. Fallout. Is that what it is? Sacrifice Fallout?
Yeah.
Take us home.
On behalf of just having a good old fucking time, on behalf of drinking tequila and grapefruit juice, we've been counted out.
Cheers.